So we come out to customers, so we do home delivery and home demonstration. Just with the nature of our customers, we want to make sure it's as easy as possible for them to access these vehicles.
Basically, everything apart from fuel is covered. So the idea of it is it's worry-free motor.
Luca and Ben, lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us on the Carecast. I'm Luca, co-founder and co-owner of the Living Care Company, and we like to talk to other service providers within the care industry to see what you do and see what sort of services you offer and how you're helping people. But would you like to introduce yourselves and tell me a bit about Allied Mobility and what services you offer?
I'm Ben Jenkins. I'm the National Sales Manager for Allied Mobility WAV Sales. We mainly deal with customers on the Motability Scheme, some customers that aren't as well.
I'm Rebecca Bridges. I'm the Allied Mobility Hire Manager. We hire wheelchair accessible vehicles throughout the whole of the UK.
So deal directly with the general public, so to speak, or do you work through agencies or shops?
So my side of the business generally deals with only the general public, so the end user of the vehicle. So we'll deal with care providers during that process, but the vehicle we supply on the Motability Scheme for someone who's in a wheelchair. So we'll go directly to them and make sure that the vehicle's suitable. And Rebecca, you do a bit more of both then.
We deal with both the end user and case managers, occupational therapists, care homes, a variety of people who are working with our customers who are in wheelchairs to make sure that they're getting the right vehicle for them.
Yeah, gotcha. How do we class wheelchair accessible vehicles? How do we define that?
So a wheelchair accessible vehicle is a vehicle that's been permanently adapted so that someone can travel as a passenger or drive from their wheelchair inside the vehicle in their wheelchair. So they're not having to transfer from their wheelchair to a car seat. They're actually going into the vehicle, normally up a ramp on the back of the vehicle, and then being secured in place either centrally in the vehicle, or if they're driving it, they'll go up to the steering wheel. So the main difference is the adaptation side of the vehicle is completely changed from a standard vehicle that comes off of a Peugeot or Ford production line.
Give me a sort of example of a couple of those vehicles. What's the smallest wheelchair accessible vehicle on the market, or the most compact?
So the smallest ones at the moment, the ones that we offer are the Peugeot Horizon, we call it, which is based on a Peugeot Rifter. We do that as the smallest one. We also do as a slightly bigger size, and we also do a full Freedom, again as we call it, that's based on a full Connect, short wheelbase. So they look like more MPVs, I would say.
Yeah. How do individuals generally access the vehicle in their wheelchair? How many different modalities are there for that?
Most are rear access. So there's a lightweight ramp that we put on all of our vehicles. You could literally lift the ramp up with one finger. So it's really easy to lift and lower the ramp. We can do certain models with electric ramps as well. So it is an option depending on the vehicle. It's a bit more limited in the range, but that is an option. So customers would travel up and into the car from the ramp at the back. We do, with every vehicle we build, we supply an electric winch free of charge. So that attaches to the front of a wheelchair, and that will actually, you can push a button. So whoever's helping get the person in the wheelchair into the vehicle, they can stand there and hold a button, and it will safely and slowly take the customer into the vehicle, keep them central and get them into the point that they want to travel at. Once they're in the vehicle,
wheelchair itself to go up the ramp, so to speak, it's the winch that gently pulls them in.
Yeah, you don't have to use a winch, but it's there as an option if anyone wants to. We have a certain limit on the degree of the ramp. We lower all the floors on pretty much all of the vehicles we do, so that you haven't got a very steep incline on the ramp. They're all gradual inclines into the car, so none of them are really steep. But the winch is there to help and to aid getting someone in and out of the vehicle. Once they're inside, there's a 4-point restraint system that attaches to each corner of the chair, and that tightens down a lot the person's wheelchair in place. And then we have a fully adjustable seat belt. So if you imagine normally in a car seat, you would just have your seat belt over your shoulder. We'll see different types of wheelchairs and different people's heights, and you can't have a sort of one size fits all. So we do an adjustable seatbelt that works. So you can change the length of the female and the male socket, where they go in, and at the point that they go over their shoulder and everything else. And that's as straightforward as it's driving in and putting the restraints on, and you're pretty much ready to go.
What are the different purchasing options, and can customers choose between leasing and hiring?
So from a purchase point of view, the source of leasing is through the Motability Scheme. So that's based on a 5-year lease, which is all inclusive. But we also offer different avenues for customers. So if they don't qualify for the Motability Scheme and just want to purchase a vehicle, whether it's new or used, we offer that. Then Rebecca's side offers the hire of vehicles as well.
Yeah, we do short and long-term hire in the vehicles. We want to make sure that customers at Allied Mobility have options for whatever stage they're at within their journey. We can do shorter term hires. It could be that somebody's going on holiday for a week and they're taking a family member away and they don't own a wheelchair accessible vehicle. Or we have the option for people who are on the way to purchasing their vehicle and they need to hire first.
Sure. And do you have a sort of, you mentioned second-hand vehicles there, do you keep a stock of second-hand vehicles that have been checked and you know, they're good cars and they've been serviced and ready to be bought or hired by the next client?
We've got hundreds of vehicles in stock. The ex-demonstration vehicles are fairly new, to ex-Motability vehicles or customers part exchanges when they've changed their vehicles. So we've got quite a big range of used vehicles or used WAVs available for sort of any eventuality, really. And again, we offer home demonstrations on those to all of our customers.
Are they physically all based up in Scotland or Glasgow, or are they throughout the UK?
No.
Throughout the UK. We have 2 depots, so we have Glasgow and Coventry. And from those depots, we cover throughout the whole of the UK. So we come out to customers, so we do home delivery and home demonstration. Just with the nature of our customers, we want to make sure it's as easy as possible for them to access these vehicles. So what we do is, once we've qualified the customer and made sure that it's the right type of vehicle, we then come to their home address or wherever is suitable for them to try out the vehicle. We also have used vehicles for sale in Glasgow and in Coventry as well. So if they want to, they can go into the showroom and try them out.
For someone that has never heard of the Motability Scheme, can you tell us what it is and how it works?
Yeah, so the Motability Scheme works for customers that are in receipt of qualifying benefits. So there's a couple that qualify. The main ones are the high rate mobility allowance and the more pensioners allowance. So what they can do is they can get a car through the scheme using that allowance. That gets diverted and goes directly to the Motability Scheme rather than them receiving it. What that includes is the vehicle. It also includes insurance, whether it's 1 or 2 drivers, or if it's someone that maybe is in a care home and there's multiple drivers, they offer an open policy which allows any number of drivers that meet a certain criteria to be able to drive the vehicle, to make it a lot easier. It includes servicing. We include with all of our vehicles annual WAV check. So we go out and we check the vehicle adaptation every year.
Ben, just define what WAV is, just for our listeners.
WAV is wheelchair accessible vehicle. So we, as part of our service that we do, it included on the Motability Scheme, we will go out and we'll do mobile servicing, so customers don't have to take their vehicles into dealerships, but we'll also do a safety check on all of the adaptive parts. So that's all part of the scheme. There's also breakdown cover with RAC, and there is tyre cover with quick fit as well. So if you get a puncture or a bald tyre, you just take it into a quick fit and they change it for you. So basically everything apart from fuel is covered. So the idea of it is it's worry-free motoring. It's a 5-year lease, so you keep it for 5 years, and at the end of the 5 years you start again, choose a new vehicle and go again.
What are some of the factors that a person would use to decide whether they wanted to purchase a wheelchair accessible vehicle or sort of hire one? Obviously, say if you only need the vehicle temporarily, then that lends itself towards renting. But what are some of the other sort of factors that people make their minds up on?
We have customers who they have a condition that was found them in a wheelchair, newly in a wheelchair. So they want to try different vehicles before they make the commitment to buy, or they could be in a position where they're in one wheelchair, but then they're likely to end up in a different wheelchair before they're in a position to then buy. So it could be that they hire, and then once they have their wheelchair that they know they're going to be in for some time, they can buy the vehicle. They might be waiting to go onto the Motability Scheme before they're ready to purchase a vehicle. There's a whole range of different circumstances that customers find themselves in. And we want to make sure that whatever option is best for them is the option that they go with, and that we have those available options for them, so they don't have to wait until they've been accepted on the Motability Scheme before they can enjoy the ability to use a wheelchair accessible vehicle.
Yeah, no, understood. And how many different types of wheelchair accessible vehicles are there? Is it literally only limited to the number of cars on the market that are of sufficient size?
There's quite a few different vehicles available, but you're right in when you say it depends on what's available for us to adapt. So bearing in mind, if someone's travelling in their wheelchair, they need things like head height. You need to be able to access the vehicle. You need width in the vehicle to make sure you can accommodate a lot of wheelchairs. It lends itself to a certain shape and style of vehicle, like the MPV sort of style and bigger, even some really large van types. There are a lot of different vehicles out there, but they're all very, depend on size. The size categories are all quite similar sort of vehicles. So we normally split them up into size categories of small to medium to large and large. And depending on what you need out of the vehicle, how many seats you require, where you want to be positioned in the vehicle, we work out which one would be best for every individual customer. We've got the largest range of WAFs available on the market, so we tend to have a vehicle that will suit everyone.
Yep. But it's things like maybe if you've got a big family or something like that, you'd be going for the ones with more seats, or maybe if you need to carry carer or a team of carers with you.
Yes, we've got the medium-large category. Will give you a maximum of probably 7 seats plus a wheelchair position. We've got some vehicles that can carry 2 wheelchairs at once. So you can have 2 wheelchair passengers as well as a further, potentially, depending on the size of the wheelchair, 7 seats. And then we go as small as having 2 seats in the front and just a wheelchair position in the rear, or a wheelchair position 1 seat. So we can cater to what people need, and depending on what size they're comfortable with. It's part of why we do the home demonstrations, because we can work out which is going to be suitable. If someone does want a vehicle with a large number of seats, but they want a vehicle that is that big, so it might be that we'd take out a larger one, and then they don't want something quite as big, so they might get something slightly smaller. It might be a change in position in the vehicle. There's quite a lot of factors that we take into account when we're looking at different options for customers.
What are the main questions that a customer should think of or ask when they're considering what vehicle to get?
To be honest with you, we want to take that away from customers having to think about and worry about what questions they're asking. When customers call us, we want to make sure that we know the questions that we should be asked, and we give them all the information that they need, so that they don't come off the phone thinking, I should have asked this. Ultimately, it's about their experience when they're in the vehicle as well. So really, we ask questions about their lifestyle, about what their
through your
usage
process, which you guide them through your process, which just leaves every relevant question answered.